know why it's not hitting that. Hopefully, okay, damn. There, Twitter should be back on there. I don't know how that left. Anyways, thanks for the heads up, man. Uh, yeah, Twitter is annoying sometimes. Well, that sucks. I'm glad everyone in here can hear. Oh man, yeah, we move on. And you also asked for Matic, so Thor calls. Yeah, no, there wasn't much on Pyth. I don't think there's any Pyth calls, but we're gonna take a look at Matic. Matic, Matic. I forgot all about Matic. It exists. I thought they're the superior coin. I don't know what happened. Oh yeah, surprise! I don't have previous. Let's see if I have any hidden. Nope. Anyways, let's check out. Let's see if we got some calls there. And okay, from March 24th, we do have a long call for Matic. It's sitting at 45 cents. Has a decent little range there, though. What has it been doing too? Let's see. Damn. Okay. That was from March. Oh, it had some ebbs and flows to it, but all right. Let me just draw it out. They got that in a 1 hour short. Okay, nice. It's always fun to have a long and a short to bounce off of. That's at 59, so let's zoom in a little bit more. 59. You're getting close to it. 59. We'll go 59.4. I'll jump up, match this. Cool. Boom. All right. So, how would I be reading this? So, I just kind of see that shorter term call, see where it TP's at around 55. It's kind of saying that's an 8% move. Not bad. That's a TP3 though. A 4% move right through there. So I haven't really been following it too much, but that kind of makes sense. Just looking at that, zoom out a bit is always good. Ah, there it is. There's probably your. There's always somewhere when Thor's calling something, it's good to zoom out, see why it's calling that, and you can see maybe right here, a little bit there, bounce off of that would be its reasoning for maybe seeing a lot of resistance at the 60. So I'd probably trust that a bit. Shorting it, it's not, you know, I haven't been messing with it to see its range, but I trust short and Matic. Let's just say that. No offense, but it's a short I can trust. On the long though, that's a different story. I think if you do get there, and it has been called for a while, right? It's been sitting there since one of the last weeks of March. Sorry, May. My bad. Um, and it's TP1 would be, oh, look at that, 57. Cool. 57, 61, 64, which meets you up here. So that's a 40% to 27% move. You know, if we did get down there, it's not a bad zone. So yeah, I'd say if you are looking to scoop up Matic or play a swing, that's always good to see there. As a coin and everything like that, everyone has their opinions, whatever. I just don't really trade it too much. Not a, I usually do most of my trading on Solana decks, and there really isn't much Matic to be traded. I don't see too much of it in the platforms I use, nor is there a lot of volume in it for trading. So I tend to look at the other ones that have nice volume on Solana too, just because I like to. I personally I could go to Ethereum and all that, but I'm doing good where I'm at. We've been a lot of people building using, Drift. You love or hate it. There's pros and cons of that. Flash trade, there's pros and cons to that too. I do like the zero slippage they have an offer if you're doing a little more leverage stuff, but they don't have limit orders. Drift, they have limit orders, but you don't always get filled on them. Or sometimes they have some sketchy books where I don't leverage heavy on drift. I don't go above like 2x. I just don't like sometimes the way their charts move, and I don't want to get liquidated for some stupid reason. Flash, I do. Flash is where I trust that a lot more. Really, really tightened into the Pyth Oracle, and I've seen the back testing of it, and it's really tight on that. Anyways, they don't offer Matic. Let's just say that. So yeah. Anyways, the 46 is a good zone. 45 would be a good buy. Kind of iffy on that short there too. The range is really low, but if you're trying to get out, like if you have a fat bag of Matic, I'd probably sell at the 60, looking to buy at the 45. And actually want to check this out because I know we don't talk about it a lot. You know, we got Thordinals, we got this the Soul BTC, really great, really awesome. This little, oof, some moves that can be made here that are always, I think, not always overlooked, but a lot of Thordinal utility, especially the Solana Bitcoin pair, are really awesome. And I think because we did just go over Solana and Bitcoin, and we did see how it has Bitcoin had 44 to 17 low calls, and then you also have the Solana at like 60 upper 60s there. Then you see this, right? I see this call, which is interesting to me, right? This low, this long call, like a 53%. So what would that be? Oof. Just trying to get this phrasing right. Go back into Bitcoin up here. We go into Solana down here. So okay, either Solana has a huge move up, or Bitcoin stays flat, or Bitcoin takes a fat dip. And then when you get down to here, down at the point 0.00, it's like 53% away. The 97 with the triple zeros in front of it. um, that's when you would switch back into Solana. Or actually, I think I said that wrong. I know these pairs get a little confusing sometimes, but yeah, you're longing, which would mean yeah, you're buying Solana here. So actually, yeah, inverse that. Solana would take a dip. It gets weak against Bitcoin, and then you would want to buy, uh, use Bitcoin to buy Solana here, and then in turn, it should TP at a nice zone here. Sometimes seeing these kind of say which coin is going to be dominating over the other, it it's another good way to check some confluence in the market as well. It's just another barometer I use. Let's see, you could go back up to 20, so that's like 100%. So it has a invalidation. Yeah, you see that purple line I've already drawn. These have been out for a few weeks now. I've been keep looking at them, but we have to break the 26.9 to invalidate this. So until then, I'm kind of watching out for that. Having some Bitcoin, hanging out, or sometimes if you don't have Bitcoin and you see this zone here, sometimes it depends on how you look at it. You could buy Solana, and then to get in on this movement, you can then sell it for Bitcoin at this zone up here. And that's what I've been doing through these. I kind of took a hit. I've been using my Bitcoin to buy Solana at 25.9. I did some more at 21, and even at this little invalidation line that I had at 20. And I think there were some longs called there too. But this is really, yeah, that's a big one. That's a big move. If you did have a bunch of, say, Bitcoin, uh, that'd be a great way, a good indication. If I was down there, I'd be switching. It sounds like a move like that, it would it would take, I think, Bitcoin, oof, what would that? It would be going up while Solana's going down. I mean, there's got to be some volatile dissonance between the two. They're I won't say decoupling, but it would take something significant would happen to one of the coins and not the other one, or both. One up, one down, or one stays still as the other is extremely volatile. So that just tells me there could be something on the horizon that shakes things up. Again, we see those. Then I talk about those long calls at Bitcoin and Solana. So there is also like go back over here. Like, what's up? Just really quickly, where you Bitcoin? You have that one day. So not updating. Sorry. Yeah, there it is. Like the 44, 33, 17. Eesh. Those and then that 65 on Solana. So that's what makes me kind of aware of the situation. It makes me keen on understanding that there could be some volatile movement happening. But until we get there, it looks like this 20 in validation is holding up pretty nice. We've been talking about that, so let's jump in a little bit more. Let's say it's a 23 short. And I don't know if everyone, these pairs are a little more difficult, so we're going to be trying to bounce around them. This is an invalidation line, but look at that. It's also a buy zone. It's been happening a lot too. This invalidation here, I've had yeah, this has been a line I've had for weeks. So down here we see it just bouncing off that 20s. So it makes sense to have that. The range isn't that long on it, so it is a good place, but that was before the markets kind of did what they did. 20, and then you go to 21. Sometimes it doesn't seem like it with these, but the ranges could be pretty nice. So the idea is if it hits a long, I just bought some Solana. It goes up 2.6%, and that's where its TP is. Now I have almost 3% more Bitcoin. That's awesome. I'm exposed to both sides and never went into USDC. So if you are bullish on both these assets, it's fun to trade between them. And I'm trying to figure out some ways. How do I say this? I might show us an example just because it's interesting. Right. So we don't have that pair. If I go to, let's say Jupiter, because I'm trying to figure out how to really rock this in an unorthodox way. So if you're trying to buy that, then you go to BTC. We don't, whatever, use a wrap just for conversation. It doesn't have the inverse pair, so even if I, oh shit, they finally did it. But oh no, never mind, never mind. This doesn't work. So the limit orders are kind of a little difficult to read. Uh, but yeah, you could kind of see the chart here, so you at least kind of read it a bit. I'm trying to figure out, maybe I'm just daft and missed something to do that with, but usually I can't switch this out. So I would like to have a limit order to be able to do this, and then I'll just trade between these two, right? But that's where the difficulty lies. It's kind of difficult to do that. So I put alarms on these trigger zones. So when I hit, say, this 20 down here, oh, I know it's hard to read because they don't have all the digits. Jeez. Anyways, let's just say it's the 20s right here where this thing is. I have an alarm there. It kind of rings on me, and I'll come and check it out. Then I might try to switch it around. That's one way to do it. I could trade via, Bitcoin. If you're hitting a long call, I'll just switch this over here real quick. If you're hitting a long call, right, you're going to be using Bitcoin to buy Solana. Nice. And then if you see a short call, it moves up to like the 28. Awesome. Or that 30. Ooh, 38. That's a new one. That'd be great for me. But yeah, if it goes to the 28, I might have an alert there. So right now it's kind of not the most orthodox way, but if I have an alert there, then I'll use Solana to buy Bitcoin. That's nice. Now in this, I did pull up the flash trade. They had something interesting, and I might be. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. So you can use a base asset Solana to buy Bitcoin or long it. Oof. Yeah, it'd be degen, but you don't need to. They always hit you with these too, by the way. Oh, like 25, 50, 75. You can type in 2. You could type in 1.1. You don't you don't have to do that, right? They just have these pre-dots into you just to quickly get you to hit it. But yeah, always know that you can hit 2, 5, you know, any numbers you want. You don't need to do that. So sometimes I'll utilize this. I think they have a minimum of 1.1. I think this is how they work. But since I'm not in the call right now, you can't limit order yet. That's another story. But if you were to buy it there and you get the alert, and then wherever Solana might be at, if it's well, yeah, you can also do it here too if you need Bitcoin. So that would be there. I'd use the Solana market using Bitcoin as collateral to buy into Solana. Now the catch is if I were to be entered in a trade, I can set it to give me Bitcoin back. So that completes the circuit, right? So if I know it's if you guys still hanging with me here, it's a long-winded thing, but I feel like a lot of people got to understand a little bit of this Thordal thing and how to use it because it's kind of hard right now on Solana itself to rock these pairs. But I get a ring, boom, cool. Time to use Bitcoin to buy Solana. Boom, that happened. Great, wonderful. Maybe I'm in there for a little longer, right? Maybe this is little ranges for me. I'm in it for the long haul because these I am. I don't care. I'm sitting on trades for weeks at a time using these pairs. And then maybe I want this 23. All right, maybe I have an alert too. It rings. Cool. I exit the trade. And then when I exit the trade, I could ask for bit to be paid back in Bitcoin. So I went from Bitcoin as collateral to buy Solana, and then I can exit the trade and getting Bitcoin back. That's pretty cool. So now you just leverage Bitcoin on a Solana pair trade. That's kind of heady. I'm just kind of, it's just a suggestion. You maybe look into it, but you could also rock the same idea, just doing spot trade here in Jupiter. You can do the same idea there. It's just this number right here. We don't have, I was asking Sile, and they don't have the BTC Solana pair. I don't think there's enough data flow or something for that. I forgot. The data's not there. The charts aren't there for them, and even Jupiter doesn't even have it either. I asked Jupiter, and they don't. It's just something that was kind of corresponding with what Sile said. They just don't have the data flow for that pair. So it's little, such a shame, but it's kind of the long-winded conversation of all that together for these pairs. But yeah, there's a lot to check out with those. I would suggest my suggestion is, hopefully the 20 holds, but that's where I was buying. Full disclosure, I bought there. Um, that looks cool, but I'm honestly in it for this, man. I hit one, guys. I hit a few down here. I hit these zones. I dip down. I buy some more. Oops, it went lower. Hey, whatever. I'm bullish on both assets. That's the thing. Both could be going up in value. And so my USD value is still going up, but maybe Bitcoin's a bit stronger right now. Oops, I went in too soon, but I'm not losing the trade necessarily. I'm not like losing money on it. Still, USD value's up. The whole market's up. Maybe Bitcoin's going up faster. And then you go up to here. Solana just gets dominance, and then you swing that out. Now, that's where it gets fun, right? You can make like you could get a like a 30 to 50%. What? Even there's a 38 sitting there now. if it did, super mega bullish on Solana, I'd assume when I see that, that's because there's that 200 there. I think the 200 plus zone is what's calling for that. So you could get doing that trade, and if you have the balls for it, you can, have an 87% more Bitcoin because of that trade. And yeah, it never once went to USDC or stabled out. That's just another kind of other side. 50% and 37%. So these gold lines are my kind of my TPs myself. But we're gonna mark that. That's just I don't see it necessarily as a short, but maybe a TP. So sometimes I just do those gold lines, especially when they're so long. I've had these going on for weeks now. I'm just gonna check the chat there. That was a long-winded explanation. Let's see. Yeah, nothing there. Cool. But yeah, we kind of hit the nice little hour marker, of course. Down to go over a couple more coins or show you guys something a little more DeFi savvy too. If people have questions of DLMM pools, I can I could give you a rundown on some of that too. But yeah, feel free to shout out or hit it up the chat or request another coin too. So, LSTs. So I see you mentioned the LSTs, DLM. For me, all right, we're gonna jump into Meteor then real quick. Meteor. Speaking onto those are interesting. If I did like, I mean, I think the popular one right now too, the LSTs, is Infinity. Infinity was one. Now, I want you to look. They got 24-hour fee, right? And with DLLM, DL, whatever, these dynamic market making pools, um, not much is going on. It's because if they're doing it right, the only way you're making money off these if they get depegged. So it's cool, but there's a lot of people doing it, and unless something messes up, then you get fees. And that's what it's all about is fee generation in these pools. Because, you may as well be selling stuff out rather than waiting for, yeah, these kind of pairs. So for me personally, I don't think there's a lot of profits into that. I'm gonna scroll down, look at infinite. So I guess I'm on one LST right now, but you can see that it has other pairs with it too. Other LSTs are paired with it. Juicy Soul, Stake, Lantern, Hub, Power. You know, so I guess to answer your question, there you could do a super tight range on that. Like you can see these are really important too. You can run kind of a tight thing. Maybe I have 10 soul. Then it kind of does this. You would do if you did this. You could see too where people put their cash, and so kind of using them as a reference, I'd build my zone, right around here if I wanted that. Yeah, sweet. So there we go. So I would do a curve because a curve means it doesn't move very much. It's going to be right there. I also shortened it up a bit. So you'd have to, I would say maybe put yourself, I would say it's super risky because, well, they're both usually should be pegged. So if you did, you could hyper concentrate that pool, right? Just, that you can make it work for you, but it might be a little difficult getting a lot returns from that. One, what is this? A good pal Kira. Um, so I've been doing some tests on some pools. Um, right now I got the Jupiter one running, and then I'll have to jump over here real quick. run on the Jupiter. So I run. Ooh. So that's pretty cool. That's been working decently. I'm gonna do 10,000 on the autofill. And all right, this is I just have the conversation, right? So I know a lot of people have been asking about these kind of pools. There's so much you could do with it. That's when someone asks, "How do I do something? What am I gonna do? How do I approach this?" You have to ask yourself what you want from the pool. And once you understand what it can give you, you can then maybe isolate what you want. So yes, there's USDC pools, but I've been getting a little more into again, like the Solana Bitcoin pair. I want to I'm also bullish on both. I'm bullish on Kira and Jupiter, and I think they're both down pretty severely. Um, severely, but they're down. They're undervalued, um, in my opinion. So what I do? I did make a pool. I know it's not. I'm not using the wallet that has it, but you can see. Oh, hey, you can see that where my assets lie. So this is cool. When you're in this pool, you can check out in this range who where the liquidity is kind of hanging out at. This pool is small, so it doesn't have much dynamics in it because I think I'm just running a spot. Now, what's cool about this is if you had Jupiter and you wanted to DCA into Kira, you turn off that autofill, you turn this off, and then you do a bid ask, which is cool, right? You can do the bid ask. What does this mean? It means I have, let's say, 1,000 Jupiter, right? And for example, I just wanted to buy Kira with it. Now, if we go over here, why this is important, and we'll do Jup. So do Jupiter here, for example. All right, let's say I want to do 1,000 and get that. You'd experience, what is that? One Jup is 10, 9. You would end up, pumping up the Kira to 10, what's it, sorry, 10.8. Should be 10.8. So you'd have a bit of slippage. Yeah, right down here. Oh, it's a 10. Sorry, just reading those pair numbers gets a little interesting sometimes. But once, say, Jupiter raises in values, let's just say, for example, if Kira stayed where it's at, we stepped ranging and into the six and maybe go back down to like lower 6 cents, and we don't break out of the sevens, but Jupiter is starting to move up. If you were to buy this, you'd experience some slippage. What's cool about this is if Jupiter starts raising up a bit, and say Jupiter's at, for example, I think it's at 75, it starts marching up to 80, 85. And ooh, this is again where it gets a little heady, guys. Using Thor for range bounding stuff. Okay, so if I had seen that Jupiter is going to go up, to 91 cents, right? I did this bid ask, so it doesn't really have a lot of pressure till we get up into the zone. And I think where this is at, I think it's right around here. So I have a pretty wide range pool. This would probably go up to Jupiter if Kira stayed at where it's at. This would be Jupiter at 1.4 or $1.6. So it's a wide range. And I'll get into what you could do if you don't like that range and you do some math there. You can lower your bins, consolidating it out. And so maybe you do a little math there. That's another conversation. Um, to get up to here. So what I would do is you start selling your Jupiter for Kira, and then you get Kira. You get some Kira. Sorry, you'd probably get some Jupiter or Kira as fees. So instead of you losing money to slippage, you're gaining fees on top of that. So it might seem a little odd, but instead of you getting less, like I just, I could people could DCA. That's cool. Like I feel it like that's dope. But for me, if I have a coin like that, and I want to see some kind of action, instead of just flat out buying, or in another conversation, selling Kira, hey, it's all right. Everyone's got to do what they got to do. But if you did that in reverse, let's see, I'm selling, it's like inputs. times it's a BZ here. You'll gain fees instead of slippage. That's the point I'm trying to make there. So let's do the inverse. I don't want to tell you guys how to sell Kira, but hey, screw it. You can make the inverse side, right? I have 1,000 Kira, and like I want to, I'm gonna sell it. Well, let's see. Sell it for Jupiter, for example, in this conversation. 1,000. Let's see if it works. Yeah. And to exaggerate it out a little bit, we're gonna put like 10,000, right? You're gonna end up seeing that slippage, and ooh, it's hard to have them both on at the same time to get it, but actually, I'll do this for you. Actually, yes, will make sense. Just have to use the other chart. So if we see here, move it up, at least to show you the way to go about it. So if you see right here, it says 11.6 is what I would be getting per thing. So 11.6 means if I just sold like 10,000, right? You just got, 2% less. You just dropped Kira 2% on this sell. You're getting 2% less than, you could have. You kind of dropped it down and it's probably not maybe your goal. Maybe you want a quick move, fine, cool. But if you did it this way, you are kind of providing some liquidity in a way too, which is always helpful. Sometimes it doesn't immediately go down. So if Kira starts getting at a higher rate, so now Kira is moving up in value, this will start going down and start to sell it for Jupiter. And now you're going to be getting, I think, what is it? You're selling Kira. You should be getting Jupiter. Yeah, so you'll get Jupiter as fees on top of that. So instead of losing 2%, you'll be gaining fees, earning some Met points, whatever they're doing here, because you'll be earning fees. So you're kind of getting a little more bang for your buck in doing that too. And you could always switch these. So if whatever makes more sense to you, you could like if you're trying to switch the lines there, it's good. One big thing too, and actually we're going to stop talking about the two variable pairs because this next conversation will get really pretty difficult. It's a little too complex, but hopefully you get some ideas there. Now, a lot of an unknown thing would be, I want to buy 1,000, buy $1,000 worth of Kira. Cool. Well, I got a little slippage there too. It's probably, I think, like as we discovered, it probably is about 2%. So you'll see that 2% move happen in probably here too, 0.7. Oh, probably around like 4% or something. So you might be slipping at 4%, not getting everything you could. Now here is the numbers make a little more sense, right? So what would you want to do if you wanted to buy? You do the one-sided. Cool. So now, oh sorry, Kira, we move up in that price, but instead, let's see, you want to buy down to like 46 cents if it did. And essentially, if you do 46, so I mark this down to 46, I'll just say there. So it's a 30% gap in this bin. So this bin ends, you'd fill it up with 1,000. You can see how much money is in each bin. In each zone Kira goes to, you'll be getting that in USDC. So you can start moving down like this with $28 in each bin, and then it sells it in these gaps. So almost like a DCA, or maybe more like a limit order each zone right through here, 55 cents, like 5.4, 5.2. Let's see. And once we do that, that's great, right? You just got Kira at like an average of this much, five, let's say 5 cents, right? Like low fives, 5.4. 5.4 cents. So that's cool. It's pretty much your average there. Now it's different if you were to weight it. I don't know how if Kira would get that low, but this is just an example of if you want to buy things down. And since we're so low, It's not really something I want to be like, oh, sell your Kira, but maybe, maybe there's that day you do. And I'm just offering suggestions at a cool idea. This is something I learned that's kind of unorthodox. All right, there's a max on your personal bin creation. If I make a pool, your max number of bins available is 69. You have this range, right? And if I'm doing a one-sided pool, I don't need 50% of that, right? Cool, boom. That's a 50% bin. But the UI doesn't really show you this, but what if I wanted to sell and have a range of this? I remove that. Oh, maybe too high. So you see how it's 89? It tells me there's an error there. So 69, 16, 72, lower. So go hit this button there. There we go. I got 69 bins now. And now it's different. We could see where people are also selling. You could see where there's maybe some sell walls in the pool, right? You could see when it gets higher here. There's about 3,000 Kira here through here. Then it really gets ramped up here. There's like 5,000 in the bins up in the 15. So, you could see maybe where we'd hit some walls. When your Kira's going up, you might see a wall at like 9.6, bust through there. Then you might see another wall at like 15. So that's a kind of a good tool. What I just did was I made it so, and you could do it a spot too, an even way. But what's important here is like you don't feel like it's fair value for your Kira here. But you'll see how much Kira is getting sold per thing gets higher and higher. Like 170 at 12, 13 cents, it's 200 and up here. So then now was it 14? Once it starts to double, so maybe you bought a bunch of Kira right here, and your goal is just to flip it, man. You're just here to catch some movement. Cool. Well, it's gonna start DCAing out, and you're gonna get USDC as it goes up here. Now the pivotal thing is, if it dips back down, we hit this wall here. You go up here, Akira goes up there, and then it dips back down, and you're rebuying. You're using USDC now as it goes down to buy Kira. But in that time, you're earning fees for this. So if you're in there for the long haul and you honestly maybe bought a bag, you have your moon bag maybe, and you have some that you're just you're flipping, trying to make an extra buck to buy more frogs, right? um, you you can definitely do that. That's just a really smart way to utilize a DLMM pool that might be a little unorthodox, but because I'm not really doing a range bounding thing, I'm literally just going like, if you read the chart here, you could draw a line. You could say 16.3. I think this is another pool range that I left, but we've left that range. But I leave my USD hanging out there, Kira. Basically, I had a balanced pool here, and we fell out of range. Oops. Anyways, I'm patient. I'm just moving on to other stuff. But I like to mark on the chart 16.3, maybe 16.3 here. So maybe, that was your goal. You can expand that pool much further using 69 bins, manually adjusting these. It gets a little wonky. The UI, I don't think, is totally aware of it, but I've done it. You will probably, actually, no, it doesn't cost much for the bin creation, and you do get this back once you pull out your assets there. The idea would be then if it goes past this zone, you'd be all USDC, no more Kira. So once we go to $1, right, supposedly, um, you would be sitting there at the average about right here for 12 cents. So that's like the uh, I forgot the word. Damon blanking on it. Sorry. But yeah, you get some impermanent loss or something is what they say. Like, oh, you would have done better just holding Kira and selling it at a higher. Yeah, but maybe that wasn't your goal, right? So if you wanted to get in on some LP action, but maybe you only have, a little Kira, this might be a way to put up some Kira in the pool for liquidity, and yeah, you could rock it that way because it's not just selling immediately. You go back down and you'd be still going making some fees there too. So I know it's a long-winded thing. Uh, we're gonna bounce it around there. Reset. There's a reset button somewhere. Oh well, I'll reset price. There you go. Then autofill. Autofills if you want to balance one. I generally don't autofill. It's because if I have like if I wanted to make a range like 200 bucks, then it tells you what it wants you to do. But no, maybe I want just to put 1,000 Kira in. Like I don't want to risk all my Kira. Okay. Well, you put 1,000 in, $200. Boom, you just made a pool. And then it's good to mark and see where these zones are to see if the range is applicable for you. If you don't think Kira is going to go that low, you could concentrate your USDC, your 200 USDC, for a bit more. So now you're like, oh, I don't think it's going to go below 6 cents, or you just wanted to play at that 6 cent range. You could go right ahead. That's where you'd be there. But once you go surpass the 6 and it went to 5 cents, you'd be all Kira. And so yeah, your TVL, total value, will be going down with it. But I mean, if you're bullish on it, that's why you only do these pools if you're bullish on the asset. If you do some meme coin, you'll capture a lot of liquidity. I was trying the mother one out for a bit, that mother coin. Uh, it worked cool, but I got the impermanent loss of it doubling, or and I left the pool before I got to experience the double. But worst case wasn't that I lost money. I just didn't get more out of it. So it's not the worst case that happens in the space. Um, Inadvertently, I did wait. It left the range. I think it's probably gone because I did leave that pool. But I just wanted to tell you the story of it because I should have the data here. Yeah, cool. So one day, all right, we'll do the 1 day chart. I think it was like a week. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so I did it for about 2 weeks. It was up here, then that mother coin went shot up, and then once you see these flat lines, it busted past the pool. And that's when it went up like, I don't know, 20, 30. I entered the pool at about 10 cents, and then went up. So I think about 15 cents. It was gone, and then I waited though. I waited, and then that big dip that happened, boom! It was right there. My pool was right in the middle, and I pulled out of it because I wanted my assets back. I was like, okay, I'm done with the pool. I was just trying to make fees on that coin. I wasn't really trying to kind of experience that coin as a whole, or ride it. But I've been doing that with some other ones. There's more. You could take this idea and use it with Solana and Jupiter. You could use it with other ones, but the idea is sometimes when you're looking for things, you want to make sure the coin has the a lower TVL and a higher volume. The less value locked makes it more variable, but if it has like 200,000 and it's doing 2 million volume, it might be a good 24-hour hangout. It might be a good place for you to hang out for a day, but you got to be mindful that things go down. You could be all of that coin, you get rugged, and now your TVL is $1. Maybe you win $1,000. You bought the coin in, and then it rugged on you. That's the bad impermanent loss. Is that you'd have to hope that coin gets up again, but we've seen it time and time again where it might not. I know that was another long-winded explanation there, but there's so much you could do with that. Even with any of these ranges, it's fun to check them out. Keep clicking around, mess with stuff. Look at that. Compare this to a chart. Um, you'll have some. I think you'll have some fun. But there is a lot to be wary, and you don't have to go hard on it, right? Percents are percents. You could play with $10. I wouldn't make a new pool itself because it does cost. That's why I try to be kind of cool and make some pools. If people want to join them, cool. But it does cost like point 0.3 or point 0.2 soul. I think it's point 0.2 soul right now. So it's like 40, $50 to open a pool like this. So you got to make sure you're actually making some some money back from it too. So if you want to put $10 in, but make your own pool for, um, 50 bucks, it's going to take a long time for you to actually make that money back. So maybe get in a pool that's already active. Um, some good things to read on that. We'll just look at some other pools because we're in the conversation. If I was hunting for something right now, yeah, here we go. This is a great example. Now, I'm not advocating for anything. I'm hunting, right? I'm on the hunt. So what I saw here, I know I've saw some stuff on the timeline or whatever. I'm not involved in this coin, but for a, for a meme, it's not doing bad. And then I'm gonna read here, 2 million, 2.6 million with 5 million volume in 24 hours. You can kind of see. Sometimes I like to check down the chart, see is it still maintaining. Yeah, it's got, it's doing good on the lower levels. This is something I would maybe consider, though it would be better if I entered this early. I have less risk because if I start the pool now, I have more risk of losing its value. But if I started the pool, if I bought the coin here, it goes up in value, and then you jump in the pool, you have less risk because you have a little more tolerance for the valuation and not losing anything. So you could see here, let's say, this is, yeah, 24 hour volume and total value. So if you look through here, you could find different 24-hour fees it's generating. You can see how this gets pretty lucrative. So a big tip here, when I look at DLM pools, the bin step, this is a wide range. These wide ranges probably did pretty well on the 1% fee, but you see there's no one in this pool now. So it must have been this wide range probably happened because it went up. It probably, yeah, went up a fat percent. I'm just kind of looking at, yeah, definitely shot the hell up. But right now, that's not where people are hanging out because this is the value locked. And so I'd be hunting here. Generally, when I'm doing pools, I do like the 100, the 80, sometimes the 80 pools. You get the fees here and they're dynamic. And then you got to go over here. So there's the volume, there's more volume here but less here. So this one's making a little bit more. But that 3% isn't always worthy. Sometimes there's a reason why there's more people in a certain pool. It's a 2%, 100. And right now people are thinking these are the same, just the 2% is rocking more. This 2% works as long as there's more, like a bunch more, obviously a little more than 2 times the amount in here. So right now, the 2% 100 bin is really cool. Now, if you get involved in something like that, what's up? Like, so if I did the Solana pair, you just wrap it up like this. You kind of see how they compare to each other. And there's a chance that this is also, let's see, you're in a Billy Soul. So then we're going to go to Soul Billy, not in Orca. We're going to find the pool here. There's a few, but you could see, I identify it by seeing where the value is locked. So 191,000. This is the pool that matches. So I could see what it's been doing. Compared to Solana, this thing's been shooting up. And I could see the ranges here. It's 3 zeros, 3 5. So then I would go here, 3 zeros, 3 5. This is right. Oh, shoot, I didn't make a horizontal. Give me a horizontal line. Yeah, say that. And then its top zone, you just hover over here. You see that top is 678. 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8. Cool. It's a tight range, right? This is a pretty volatile coin. So honestly, not you. It's a rough one, right? Hmm. And doing that, you can see if this coin moves up. If it moves up, it's going against Solana. So that means it increases value about 43% against Solana, whereas you have about 24% room for it to go down. That's saying if Sol stays still. If they both shoot up, they'll both be in that same range. But that's you get the volatility between the others. That's cool, but you make the most money if it's stuck in the range. So where you start the pool is very important. Um, I personally, if I was looking at this, I would rather my pool, if I know, I'm not the biggest meme coin guy, but I would try to get my bottom down there, like that. And then so what I would do is, oof, it's up to you, but this is just an example. Say I think it's going down. You have to have your idea of where you think things are going, right? So I think it's going down, so maybe it doesn't, but just for example. I'm gonna lower it down here, and then I follow the chart here. So I see my top is 58. Maybe I use this wick as reference, 59. So maybe go to 59, right? 59, 0, 59, 3. Let's give us some more room. 59, 6. There we go. 59, 6. Now, remember, 69 bins is the maximum bins I can do. So I have 56. I got more room. So what if I'm going to try? I'm going to do 2. 91. Eesh, doesn't allow that. All right. So I wanted 27. So maybe let's try 27. 80. Okay, we're not getting it there either. So you just keep marching your way up. 73. So let's do 3-1. 3-2. Let's do 3-1. 70. So you gotta play with it a bit until you get this to say 69. It's too high, so let's go 3. 69. Cool. So now what I did there, but we lowered that. Oh, it went back up, didn't it? Damn. Oh, see, yeah, that's what I said. The UI sometimes does it. If the price is volatile, it changes the pool a bit. Damn, that ruins the whole thing I was going for. But all right, 59. I want 59. Nice. And then I got some more room, so let's see if I could do the 27. No, come on. I see it changed on me again there. I want 59. It's too tight there. There you go, 71. See, it's moving. See, the price is moving pretty quick, so it's hard to kind of track that. 66. So let's just say, for example, you're trying to do that. Oh, damn. Yeah, it's being a little. Oh, I see why. For the conversation, it's kind of a little rough, but just to make this easier, just to show you what I mean. 27, 68. Cool. Right on. Right on. So 53 is where it would be. 5-3. That's your top of the pool, but then I expanded on the bottom. So maybe it does go up a bit more. Maybe I think this coin's exhausted. So yes, it does leave the pool. That means I would be only Solana after it goes out of there. That's not the worst case, right? It busts upward from your pool with this meme coin. Oh well, whatever. You missed out on 10x, cool. But you didn't lose like, your base bullish asset. So the idea here was just to show you can rearrange these pools for a different case. So in this case, I'd wait for that and then wait for that dip here when they try to shake everyone out. Because I think this is a good resistance zone if I'm just looking at this little 4-hour chart where this coin just started. Yeah, that looks like good resistance. So if it dips down here, that's where you'll start really making fees. Because watch this, guys. Look at that. There's no one hanging out in here. There's like 2 sold, 3 sold, 5, compared to 18, 19, 32, and all these bins. So there's like only like 500, 400 bucks down here. But you are going to be one of the few people that have already preemptively done this. You're sitting there in that pool. You're going to be your assets will be traded a lot more than the other ones. When it's a super fat bin like this, you're sharing like you're mixing assets with other people and maybe not getting all the fees. So that's a really kind of heady way of looking at this too. It's like you pick a range, you set it yourself, and if it's within the confines of 69 bins, you could adjust it accordingly. Sometimes the UI will give you a headache, but it's possible. If I had it, I could just click boom, set it. I pay 0.056 Sol to make these bins. And if you do this range and no one's made bins, I think it's a little more expensive because you're doing a bin creation. But because people have already made these bins, you're paying a lower cost, and you get this refundable. That's refundable. Oh, and see, it tells you down here if you click on it. Yeah, if you're doing a new bin, it costs zero point zero 0.07 per bin array that you make. But yeah, this is refundable, so and that's cool. But when you withdraw, yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of end the session. It's spent like 45 minutes talking about those pools. But if anyone had a question on that or kind of a clarification on that, I'm down to kind of dive into that a little bit more too. Yeah, right on. I hope some of this helped you guys out a little bit. Because I know there's a lot of questions of these pools, seeing where Soul's at, and again too, I guess one last remark would be too is when you're doing the pools and you also have Thor, right? You can use like Solana calls as your bin markers. So like, oh, just about to be done, but hey, one more thought. How can you use Thor with it? Let's just do USDC because the variable pools get a little more complex. If I were you and you don't know anything about pools, I would start with the one stable, one variable, and then so we got this pool. I guess I could have looked a little more into its range. Oh, it's just a 16 bin step. You get more fees that way, but you're gonna have to rebalance a lot more. So let's be real. Come on, yeah, 125. Do one soul, whatever. You don't have to do autofill, so you can just be like, I only have $100 and one soul. Cool, you can play. Um, you can see this bin itself doesn't is kind of tightened in this range here, so that means a lot of people have done this. They've range bound, and so if I wanted to look at this, I could say 36 as a TP and 31. Let's just say 131. 131. You can see down here your minimum price. Uh, maybe do 28 or see a lot of other people are doing that too. It looks like 132, but let's go to 130, and then our top range would be right through here. So if you think it's gonna bounce up TP up to 136, maybe you can give yourself a little more room. Now you're hyper concentrating your liquidity between like a Thor call. That's where you get kind of heady with it too. Maybe this too, like extrapolating on it a bit more. I probably want to do the 1 hours with a low range. I did this with render a lot. I just found a fat range and I just let the pool rip. So again, if we dip down like that, could be a fun things to do. Because if you do a fat launch down, you will get that. But it's more fun to be range bound than to have a super volatile movement. If you did have a volatile movement and you think it's gonna happen, that's what the bid ask is for. That's so the upper ranges are gonna be traded a lot more than the mid ranges if you think it is. Or if it doesn't move a lot, then you're just gonna be using the curve, and then because you think the price doesn't vary a lot again with those LSTs or something like that, perhaps, but not really my cup of tea for that. So for this trade, would be 155. We are currently at 135, but let's see the long calls at 131. So this is where I do it using two calls in one. Let's do 130. I do like 130, and then go back to the 4 hour soul call. Say we have a short, an upper limit of 155. Look at that. There's other people hanging out there too. 155, but you know how it is, so give it a little room. Give it a little room there. So now it's funny because we just created a range that a lot of other people are doing. This you saw it. This bin range goes pretty far out. This thing has a wide range, but yet people are still only doing 18 bins. That kind of tells me that Thor is kind of onto something, right? I think it you can tell where maybe liquidity is hanging out. Not necessarily this pool is where all the liquidity is, but there's I think something to it. I think there's something to that. Even using validation lines like we talked about too isn't a bad thing. That's kind of usually what I do because I don't have another call to go off of. So maybe I'd do something like this. Set up the pool there. Watch out for TPs. Maybe you so we started at 135. It could go down and do a long, or it could go up and do a short, right? The TP, I want to wait for this TP. If you're trying to game this like perfectly, like get the fees and get out what you initially started with, then what I would need to do is wait for TP3 to happen and then withdraw my position, taking back both the assets, USDC and Solana. And then I have what I initially started with plus fees. That is important because usually you get like these impermanent loss, and then now your fees are paying up your loss. And when I started doing this, I'd basically be my fees were paying my impermanent loss. So it's like, oh, my total value locked is like down $300, but oh, you made 320 in fees. So it's like, cool, I made 20 bucks from doing all that. So is it worth your time? There's ways to do this that are pretty lucrative. You'll find really quickly that once you get the hang of it you can get some nice rewards. Now to try it out, you could always do little bits. Percentages are key. Just I take a little screenshot or something, just take a snap, easy. Just take a little snipping tool, boom, see what what you started with, save it, name it something, date it, and then you can come back to it, check your liquidity, check your balance, and then see how your pool's health is doing. I wish there's more UI to help with that, but you gotta take the initiative to monitor your pool's health. Yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it off, and unless there's any more questions. Oh, well, appreciate you guys. Oh yeah, yeah. I think Yeah, I think that kind of is a good place to jump off, unless anyone else has anything else to mention. I think it would be a good place to